Since President Biden took office, we've seen historic job growth and a dynamic economy. Wages are rising, and they're rising fastest for working-class Americans. But despite this significant economic progress, today too many American families are still facing pressing economic challenges. A global pandemic now entering its third year. Ongoing disruptions to international supply chains that result in rising prices. And now the economic shocks caused by Putin's aggression, his invasion of Ukraine, and the response by the West, a united effort to impose sanctions on Russia, which will also have consequences for the global economy. The Federal Reserve exists in part to address issues just like these. The Fed doesn't just set interest rates and control our money supply. It oversees banks, ensures efficient and reliable payments, promotes consumer protection and community development. When our economy is facing such foundational challenges like the ones we're up against right now, it is crucial our institutions are at full strength. The Fed is at its strongest with a full board of governors, and President Biden has nominated 5 of the finest economic and legal minds our country has to fill its vacancies. Jerome Powell to serve as chair, and Lael Brainerd to serve as vice chair, both folks who have ably guided our economy in the years they have served at the Fed. Sarah Bloom Raskin, who I know from college, who's been nominated to serve as vice chair for supervision and has demonstrated through a long career in public service at both the state and federal level to be a highly competent regulator who's advanced a financial system that would work for all Americans. Philip Jefferson, nominated to serve as a board governor, has deep expertise in how monetary policy impacts employment and economic growth, and an important understanding of inequality and poverty in America today. Last, my good friend Lisa Cook, whom I have known for decades. We knew each other as young Truman scholars, folks who were volunteering a week of our time to help mentor and encourage younger Truman scholars, a federally funded memorial to President Harry Truman. I've known her since a stage in her life where neither one of us might have guessed that someday I'd be on this floor speaking as a senator, and I would be speaking in support of her nomination to the Federal Reserve. She would bring a valuable new perspective to the Fed board. Lisa, from her time growing up in a small rural town in Georgia, going on to earn advanced degrees from our nation's finest institutions, and now as a teacher at one of our great public universities, she has built world-class expertise in economics, innovation, and banking. She understands not just abstract economic theory, but how those theories impact Americans and their families in all walks of life. Lisa served under President Obama at the White House Council of Economic Advisors, where she dealt with financial crises both here in the United States and abroad, and she has studied the macroeconomics of foreign markets in Europe and in Africa, including the way central banks have dealt with high inflation, one of the issues right before us. She has expertise in an emerging area of the economy that's increasingly important for our central bank regulators to understand: digital currencies and financial technology. She has supported sensible regulation of cryptocurrencies that enables innovation and allows more people to access secure and low-cost financial services. Her data-driven approach will help the Fed navigate our continued economic recovery, and her focus on financial inclusion will be a critical perspective on the Fed board that will help ensure all Americans can see the benefit of continued economic growth and job gains. Madam President, overall, these are 5 nominees to the Fed board with sterling credentials and strong character. All of them on their merits deserve the seats to which they have been nominated. I respect the desire on the part of my Republican colleagues to conduct a full evaluation of these nominees, and all 5 of them have responded repeatedly, fully, and with transparency to the hundreds of questions that have been pressed to them. They have answered all the questions put to them. The time has come to advance and confirm these nominees, and I call upon my Republican colleagues to allow a vote to proceed. To block a vote in the Banking Committee of this Senate by simply denying a quorum is no way for this allegedly greatest deliberative body in the world to conduct itself. If we are, in fact, facing the crisis of inflation and rising prices, The Federal Reserve Board must have its full membership. So, my colleagues, please stop blocking these capable and qualified nominees and allow them to proceed. Madam President, I serve on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and in my dozen years here, I've had the honor of participating in and even presiding over confirmation hearings for federal district courts, circuit courts, and the Supreme Court. We have before us now President Biden's first nominee to our nation's highest court. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is an exceptionally well-qualified jurist whose experience, whose credentials, and whose even-handed approach to the administration of justice make her an outstanding nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court. This is an important step forward towards making our Supreme Court look more like, reflect more, the diversity of people in our nation and the diversity of experience of those who serve in the bar. Last year, Judge Jackson was confirmed by this Senate on a bipartisan basis to serve on the D.C. Circuit Court, one of the most complex and significant of the circuit courts of the United States. Before that, she was unanimously confirmed to the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, where she has honorably served for 8 years. She's issued over 500 opinions, so we have a very clear idea of her approach to judging and her interpretation of the law. And she brings great professional diversity of experience to the bench as well. If confirmed, she will be the only Supreme Court justice to have served as a federal public defender. That kind of perspective on our highest court is critical. Her work as a public defender is just one example of the breadth of experience Judge Jackson will bring to the U.S. Supreme Court. She's also served as vice chair and commissioner on the Sentencing Commission, that interprets and applies criminal law, and as a lawyer in private legal practice for some of our nation's leading law firms. And in some ways, most importantly, she clerked for the justice for whom she has been nominated as the successor, Justice Stephen Breyer. Our president has promised to nominate someone in the mold of Justice Breyer, and Judge Jackson, in temperament, in ability, and approach, certainly fits that bill. It is my hope, it is my expectation that this Senate and the Senate Judiciary Committee will meet this historic moment by swiftly, appropriately, and respectfully questioning this nominee in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, bringing her to a vote on the committee, and then voting to confirm her nomination here on the floor of the United States Senate. Madam President, if I might, the last topic I come to speak to on this floor today is the critical need for us to be as attentive to the advice and consent role for nominees as ambassadors, as senior members of the State Department and USAID positions. There are so many positions that have been held for months and months, and many of them were being held by my colleague from the state of Texas because of a disagreement over sanctioning Nord Stream 2, the pipeline. Today, finally, we stand in a place where the policy of this administration, the policy of our close and valued ally in Europe, Germany, and the positions of folks in the Senate are all aligned. There are now sanctions on Nord Stream 2. It has been stopped. And thankfully, my colleague has lifted his holds. Yet there still remain holds from other members of this body on other nominees, all of them well qualified. 8 of them would serve under the jurisdiction of my Foreign Relations Committee subcommittee on economic and energy policy and multilateral organizations. So while I respect the right of colleagues on both sides of the aisle to hold a nominee for a specific relevant policy issue, we have to provide advice and consent in a timely and respectful manner of the president's nominees. President Biden has been president more than a year now. We have crises all over the world, whether it's in Ukraine, the violence and the aggression carried out by Putin's Russia, or it's competition with China, or it's dealing with North Korea, or it's advancing our interests with respect to Iran and their proliferation. We have places all over the world for which we need qualified nominees. That's why in a few moments I hope to take action on the floor, but I'm not yet going to take that action unless it's clear that we're all prepared. But let me just briefly, in conclusion, if I might, Madam President, speak to some of the folks who should be confirmed. The ambassador to Botswana, Howard von Franken, career Foreign Service officer in a country I have visited a country that's an important partner and ally in Southern Africa, and where the absence of an ambassador means an absence of American leadership. Eric Garcetti, mayor of Los Angeles, ready to serve as our ambassador to India, a country which is a continent-wide, multi-faith, multilingual, multi-ethnic democracy, a vital partner and ally to the United States, where we currently have no ambassador. Marcia Bernacat, to be Director General of the Foreign Service. If we are to recruit, retain, motivate, and place the greatest diplomats possible in the world, we need a Director General, a DG who leads the Foreign Service from a human resources perspective. Julietta Noyes, to be Assistant Secretary for Population, Refugees, and Migration. 1 million refugees have fled the violence in Ukraine, and yet PRM has no Senate-confirmed Assistant Secretary. Think about that as a dereliction of duty by this body. Orrin Weiss-Shaw, to be Ambassador to the African Development Bank. If we want to see inclusive development on the continent of Africa, how could we have no ambassador for this multilateral development bank? Eno Abong, to be Director of the United States Trade and Development Agency, the US TDA. TDA plays a critical role in bringing into the United States opportunities for trade and development. Again, a critical vacant seat. Christopher Hill, to serve as Ambassador to Serbia. There are developments in the Balkans too complex and concerning for me to take this body's time with right now, but let me simply say, any seat, any ambassadorial post in the Balkans vacant is a missed opportunity for American leadership. And Laura Holgate, to be Ambassador to the Vienna office of the United Nations and representative to the IAEA. We are engaged in critical final stage negotiations, I am told, in Vienna about whether or not we will be able to further constrain and better understand Iran's dangerous conduct with regards to enrichment. We have no ambassador to the IAEA. Think about how irresponsible that is. So, Madam President, if I might, we cannot confront our global challenges alone, and we need these diplomats in place so we can effectively address threats from Russia, from climate change, from COVID-19, from Iran, from terrorism. It is my hope that my colleagues who have holds reportedly on many of these nominees will relent, and I look forward to continuing to press that case today. With that, Madam President, I yield the floor and suggest the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.